Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, I'm Jim Sunderwirth from my swing here in my home. And yesterday, I just kind of shared my heart with you a little bit. You know, we talked about the tears. So I want to get back to the joy of the relationship that now Joseph is having with his family. They don't know he's Joseph. Remember, he's still talking through his interpreter. So we're still in chapter 43, but in the 34th verse, they're having dinner. Remember, I told you there was a little prejudice. The Egyptians didn't sit with the shepherds, and then Joseph was, he was Israelite, and he didn't sit with anybody. He sat by himself. So, and these guys didn't catch any of this. Can you imagine? They didn't. They were just duh. They had no idea what was going on, and so we find them now. They're sitting around the tables and they're eating, and they're all set in order. Well, all of a sudden they feed everybody great portions, but they all of a sudden realized that Joseph had given Benjamin 5 times as much food as they'd given the other brothers. And this actually was a test. It was another test to see how they would respond. Would they get jealous of their younger brother again? But no, they were happy. They didn't say a word. And this test, they passed this test. Now they've been passing the test pretty well, because remember when they went back the first time, he put the money back, but he came back with both their sets of money, and now here it is. Are they going to be jealous? Will they bring Benjamin back? What do they feel about that, about their father? And so he saw that, and then he saw the fact that they didn't get jealous when he gave them 5 times as much as they did each of the brothers. So then we go to chapter 44, and it gets kind of amazing here. He said he commanded his stewards of his house to fill the men's sacks with food as much as they carry, and put each man's money in the mouth of the sacks. Here he goes again. He fills these sacks up, and then he puts their money back in the sacks. You know, when God's blessing is on you, and when God's blessing is upon your life, He just keeps blessing, and you can't even hardly see where the blessings are coming, but they're chasing you, and you're running you down and overtaking you and blessing you. I just love that. I love the fact that God's favor rests upon His people as they trust Him and as they rest in Him. And these guys, they didn't even know what was happening, but they were God's blessed family. They were going to be the actual tribes of Israel. Israel was, of course, Jacob, and his name was changed from Jacob to Israel, and now these boys are going to be the actual tribes that God's going to deal with the rest of the Bible. So and they don't even realize it. And sometimes we don't realize how blessed we are. Mm-hmm. And so they got blessed, and they took off again. And it says these things. He said, now here's what Joseph did. This was basically the final test. He had one more test for them. And he said, I want you to put a silver cup in the mouth of the sack of the youngest. He said, I want you to take this cup and put it in there. So he did according to what Joseph said. They did. And as soon as the morning was dawn, the men were sent away, and on their donkeys. They were going back to see their father, and everything was hunky-dory. Everything was kind of cool. They're going back, and Benjamin was going back, and Simeon was going back. Everybody was going back. When they had gone out of the city, they were not yet far, and Joseph said to his steward, get up, follow them, and when you overtake them, say, why have you repaid evil for good? What? And is not this the one from which the Lord drinks, and which he indeed practices divination? He didn't practice that, but he had to play the role of the Egyptian. He said, you have done evil in so doing. So he overtook them, and he spoke to them, and he said, why have you done this to my Lord? Such a thing. Look, we brought back to you from the land of Canaan the money. This is what actually Judah and the brothers were saying. Listen, why would you do this? We brought the money back. We wouldn't steal from you. There would be no way we were going to steal a cup from Joseph or from this guy. He said, there's no way. And he said, well, look in the sack. He said, you find it in the sack, and the person has that cup in the sack, they will die. Oh, and they opened it up, and you know whose sack it was in? It was in Benjamin's sack. And their heart just dropped. I mean, just dropped. They didn't know what to do. And I'm telling you what, if you know the story, they turned those donkeys around and they went back to Joseph's house immediately, and they fell down before Joseph. And he said, oh, we would not do this. You cannot do this. Look, have you ever had the death of a dream? You ever had something just, everything going so well, and all of a sudden it just stopped in the middle of it, and it seemed that what was going so good now is so bad? Does God really work through those things? Sometimes he does. Because you see, every time God wants every one of us to know that it's his dealing. It's not us. It's his dealing in our lives. We have nothing to do with the basic. He wants a purpose, and he wants us to realize the miracle of him being involved in every aspect of our life. Wow. These times go by too fast. We'll take it up right here, and we'll go tomorrow.